Hello everyone and welcome to the Air Raiders Federation live on Mixer. How is everyone? Amy Shaza, Kayla McTeer, The Plex, thank you for the host. You're all in the right place. CMA, get their ass whipped. Torch, thank you for the follow. Very much appreciated. Welcome in. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're doing well. Give yourself a big Ric Flair. Woo! Shout out to Torch, the owner, or co-founder, owner of Rated R Esports that I'm happy to be a part of. Amy Shaza, hello, how are you? It's good to see you. So tonight, we are going to have the podcast style episode, have some fun, talk about some things, talk about WWE, talk about NXT debuting live on USA tonight, which was, it was different. It was different, to say the least. I have sort of mixed feelings about it, and we'll kind of get to those feelings as we go along here. Also, we'll be we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. You guys have questions, I have answers. We can talk about whatever at this point. But we'll kick things off with NXT on USA. And wait, first, let me remind you, stream loots, buy 10, get 2 free, as always. So make sure you're checking those out. There you go, there's a stream loots link. Make sure you check those out, they're awesome. Buy 10 packs, get 2 free. Torch, no problem, man. What's up? How are you? Good to see you. Alright, so now that's out of the way. Also, new tip goal. Every $100 we make, we'll give away some stream loots, and then when we fill it, we'll give away a custom sticker, much like Sean's currently. So look out for that. Alright, so we'll talk about NXT on USA. First show, they're still in a weird spot because it's not completely live. It was 2 hours live tonight. But it wasn't 2 hours live on TV. It was an hour live on USA and then an hour live on the WWE Network because apparently Suits isn't over yet. Suits had 2 weeks left to go, and therefore the second hour of NXT had to go to the WWE Network for these 2 weeks, these first 2 weeks, which is really odd. It's different. It sucks, as we learned from Crazy Canuck, for our neighbors to the north in Canada, because they don't get USA Network and no Canadian TV channel picked up NXT for Wednesday nights. And it's also just a weird play because this is just it's all mixed up right now. Exactly, Plex. You hit the nail on the head. It's all mixed up right now because they wanted to go live on Wednesday nights ahead of AEW getting to Wednesday nights. So in their rush to beat AEW to TV, we're working with this weird schedule for the first couple weeks, which basically means that they're not going to go fully live on USA until AEW goes live on TNT. No word on if the show's still going to be on the WWE Network immediately, like they do for pay-per-views or whatever. I know like Raw and SmackDown don't go to the WWE Network for a long time, so I imagine this would kind of be the same thing. So it's kind of going to be interesting, especially because, like I said, Canada doesn't have the TV deal, so will they just never be able to see NXT again? Or will they have to wait until after it airs to be able to watch it on the WWE Network? I don't know. Plex, that'll never happen. They'll never work together. WWE will never work with another promotion that is trying to be WWE's scale. No. WWE wants to squash it. WWE wants to kill AEW and either take all their talent or send all their talent back to the indie scene. That's what WWE wants to do. They don't play. They like being the only ones, and they don't like that AEW's kind of getting in their kitchen right now. Which is why NXT is going live on Wednesdays. It's literally the only reason. There was no other reason to do this besides to directly compete with AEW because they don't like AEW. It's an odd thing. You'd think they'd like it, but they didn't really like WCW doing it either. And look how that ended up. They're not going to coordinate time slots. I'll tell you this. That's what makes me wonder. Nothing. See that? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I honestly don't think that Vince retiring would change anything. Like, just because Triple H likes the indie scene doesn't mean he wants another company being there or trying to compete with them. And Shane may love New Japan, but I don't like. If New Japan all of a sudden got insanely big in the U.S. and was doing shows around, and had a TV show in the U.S., they'd compete with that too. New Japan, I mean, they're doing more U.S. stuff, but I don't think they're ever. It was, but now they don't have Jericho, and they don't really have anyone. Like, their star power when the Young Bucks and Jericho left, and Cody and Adam Page and Kenny Omega, their appeal to American fans significantly went down, I'd say. So, they'll do shows, people will go to those shows when they're here, but I don't see them ever picking up traction here enough to be, like, I guess at this point, the third company. Like, I don't, like, if you take it back to the Attitude Era when there was WWE, WCW, and ECW, I don't think New Japan's going to get to a level in the US where they'll be able to be like an ECW in the US. You know what I mean? Like a third company that's all kind of on the same, you know, scope there. Because they don't like, who cares about Switchblade Jay White? Like, no one cares. No, I don't even know what, like, when Kenny Omega and all them were over there, I knew what was going on. I knew what was going on with, like, the Bullet Club, the whole, like, you know, drama between Cody and Kenny at first, and all that stuff. We knew the storylines. Now I have no clue, because although guys came and formed AEW, and everybody's paying attention to AEW now. And New Japan's just back to being that, oh, New Japan, they have some cool people sometimes, and they have some cool matches. And that's basically what it'll always be. Unless you're Dave Meltzer, and then Japan wrestling's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I just, like, and that's the thing, like, they have potential, they just need the money, but, like, that's a huge cost and a huge risk to take to start trying to run a campaign in a whole separate country to try and get more popular there. Like, WWE does it, but a lot of places that WWE goes, those places pay them to come. No one in the US is paying New Japan to come here. We have all kinds of wrestling to begin with. And I think, honestly, one of the places that New Japan goes wrong is that they have people working for them that also work for companies that are already in the US. So, like, you have, like, people who are working for New Japan, but they wrestle for Ring of Honor. There's no reason to bring New Japan to the US. Yeah, New Japan is going to lose a lot of talent, and it's going to be bad, but I mean, think of the talent that they've lost constantly. That's basically what New Japan is there for. People go there, they get big, they come back. And it's like, you know, you look at like AJ Styles, you look at like, you know, Gallows and Anderson, majority of AEW at this point. You look at, you know, just a ton of people. ROH's problem is exposure. Like, they don't get a lot of pay-per-view buys. They get a lot of people that go live, though. And that's because they don't really have... But they're... ROH, you gotta look for them to get bigger. The people that own them just bought up a ton of TV channels in a ton of markets. And there's a good chance that they get some good TV exposure coming up. So, back to NXT, though. Sarge, thank you for the host. Hanson, thank you for the host as well. You're in the right place to see me get their ass with. My theory is if NXT is going to try and compete, that's honestly your complaint, the ring lights. But if NXT is going to try and compete with AEW, they can't allow it to go immediately on the WWE network, which will screw over a lot of people. I think Crazy Canuck, who will probably be here in a little while, will have a lot to say about the fact that, you know, there's no TV deal in Canada. But the problem is, it's the same thing that I said with it goes on the network tomorrow. So is that always going to be the case? Is it always going to go on the network the next day? Because then NXT is going to lose the Wednesday Night War. Hands down. Alright, so let's say that is true, and it is according to Meltzer, so you got to take that for what it's worth. You know, take it with a grain of salt. But if that's true, and it's going to go on the network the day after, NXT will lose the Monday Night War. I mean, the Wednesday Night War. Because it's the same thing that I said about the pay-per-views when they were saying that they were going to try and put NXT TakeOver events against AEW pay-per-views. The network is going to kill it because people are going to watch the AEW pay-per-view live because it's the only time they're going to be able to see it, and then catch the NXT pay-per-view on the network. And it'll be the same thing with the TV show. People will watch AEW on TNT live, and then the next day they'll watch NXT on the network. That's Wildcat. Thank you for the host. You're in my place. See a man get their ass whipped. You won't be watching AEW? Does it not have a Canada deal yet? Is that why? Or just because you don't particularly like AEW? I'll be watching my RTV. You won't be getting pay-per-views. I mean, I understand not wanting to pay for pay-per-views. I think if they... I got kids. I think if they sell some really good matches, you'll be interested in buying them. Or at least seeing them. I think they're still gonna do... Yeah, we already talked about that, Hamilton. There's gonna be some issues there if they don't get... Yeah, still nothing about Canada having AEW. Apparently on the 14th, Cody said, Canada's patience is gonna pay off. So we'll see. They're working on it, I guess. I don't know, Wildcat. By all accounts, AEW's pay-per-views have been doing good numbers. I think it's all the same. I mean, if you sell good matches and you have good stories and you make people care about what's going to happen on the pay-per-view, people will buy it. I just think that's the thing that, well, I don't know how true that is. Like, they're skipping a month, technically, I guess. Because, they're skipping 2 months, technically. If you... I tend to count All Out as kind of September, even though it was, like, August 31st or whatever, but they're skipping September and October. They're going to have a pay-per-view in November. And then who knows after that. So yeah, they're not going to have a pay-per-view every month. And like I said, if you really care about what's going to happen on the show, you're going to buy it. Just like wrestling fans did before, when there was no WWE Network. I mean, if you make people care, they'll put out the money. And that's really the only reason why people go to the shows. It's why people buy tickets. It's why people watch on TV. Because people care about it. If you make people care, they'll spend the money on the pay-per-view. I mean, I don't think it'd be such a bad thing. CFC, thank you for the sparks, by the way. I think Kofi Kingston is going to lose the title to Brock on SmackDown. And that's just because I think Fox pushed hard for this. I think Fox really, really pushed hard. With the draft coming up in a few weeks, I think that Fox wants Lesnar, even if he's only on TV 6 times a year, because I think they know that WWE kind of wants Roman Reigns on Raw. And Fox wants something right off the bat that they can promote WWE for. And Brock's still seen as that UFC guy, you know, the big star. So they want that, like, you know how wrestling works. It works in short clips and sound bites. So they want that clip of Brock standing there on the turnbuckle with the title, Michael Cole or whoever the announcer for SmackDown is going to be, saying, and Brock Lesnar is your WWE champion. And they want to be able to put that on a commercial and send it out, play it on NFL on Sunday, and all this other stuff to hype up WWE. That's what they want, and I think they really push for it. Because make no mistake about it, WWE answers to these TV companies, especially because these TV companies give them a ton of money. And as much as the draft will be a work, it'll also be a shoot, because I can guarantee you that USA and Fox are both sitting there saying, we want this guy, we want that guy, we want this guy, we want that, we want this. And it's going to be almost a legit draft, I feel like. I feel like behind the scenes, it's kind of a legit draft. I mean, Lesnar's only going to be on SmackDown 6 times a year. I said it in the Discord, I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass for Heyman to run Raw and then have to be on SmackDown on Fridays. But since it's Friday, I guess it's a little bit different. It won't be as difficult as far as traveling goes. But yeah, I feel like the networks, especially because they're on rival networks now. See, before, WWE could do whatever they wanted with the drafts and with the roster split, because both shows were on USA. Now they're on rival networks, and both networks want stars, and they want a good product. So they can't just make SmackDown a B show and make Raw have all the stars. They have to, like, nope, wild card rule's gonna go away. And because they said it when they announced the draft that the superstars will be exclusive to those brands. So the networks don't want to play nice with each other as far as that goes. They're both trying to make money off this, and they're both trying to have really good ratings with it. I mean, they might. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be in the draft where, like, NXT is going to get to pick people, but I can see NXT people getting picked for Raw or SmackDown. Is it true that Fox wants CM Punk? I don't... last I heard, CM Punk's agent reached out to Fox about doing the studio show. And it was just for the studio show, not to like wrestle or anything. It was like the host. But I don't know how true that is. He said he'd listen. I could see Punk wanting to do like a TV show, like a studio show, kind of like how they do other studio shows. Fox does a lot of studio shows for stuff. Like they have like an MMA show, they have like a show for NFL. Kind of like ESPN has all those shows. Like, they have those kind of stuff. I honestly don't think that CM Punk is ever going to wrestle again. That's the part that I don't think is ever going to happen. I think if anything, he'll come back as like a personality. I think he enjoys commentary like a lot. But I can't see him doing, like... I can't see him doing wrestling again. I don't think so, Wildcat. I don't think they really have him beat, per se. I think that... because the TV schedule is jacked right now. It's an hour... for the first 2 weeks, it's an hour... Let me check the dates. So, today was... September 18th, I'm just looking at my calendar real quick. And it was just an hour on USA, and then an hour on the WWE Network. And then it's going to be like that next week too, on the 25th. And then October 2nd, which is the day that AEW premieres, is going to be the first time it's a full 2 hours on USA. So it's not like they rushed to try and beat them to TV, but it didn't really help, in my opinion. Guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to run a commercial real quick. And then we're going to... I'm going to use the bathroom, and then I'll come back and tell you some stuff. Alright, so here's my thought. This is my thought on AEW and NXT. So yeah, WWE rushed to get NXT to TV, but if you watch the first hour of NXT on USA Tonight, again, the women's match was great. The North American title match was great too. Nothing against the wrestling, but in setting up for future shows, I feel like they really didn't do much. We watched a squash match in between those two matches as well. Cat! Thank you for the host. You're in the right place. CMA get their ass whipped. So you watched a squash match in between. I feel like more of a surprise victory, maybe. It was a squash. I feel like you didn't really do much to set up anything long term. Like, sure, now we have a #1 contender for the women's championship. You're gonna have that, whatever, but you don't really have a lot. Like, you set up two things because, of course, Velveteen Dream's probably not done yet. Is that his name? Keith Lee? Yeah. It was a squash. He won in like 3 seconds. Are they different people? Somebody won. Trevor Lee won. There's two people? Grimes? Is that his name? I'm confused. I don't know who it was. I don't speak indie. But anyway, you set up two things. So presumably next week they set up a couple more things. But in reality, like, they don't have much more set up going into the October 2nd head-to-head than AEW has. Like, I feel like the mixed schedule, like, it's not that big a deal because most people have WWE Network, but, like, I feel like that almost was worse than just waiting. Like, you could have just waited to go live. Instead, you're going to set up, like, 3-4 things for the October 2nd show, and then what? Does it really matter, though? And again, I still feel like if they're going to put the show on the network the next day, it's only going to hurt them. Because people will watch AEW instead and then go watch NXT the next day. Also, Walter's still the worst name in wrestling. Yeah, they should have. But they couldn't because, again, they rushed and Suits isn't over yet. So they had to go back and they had to go back to the WWE Network for the second hour. Nope, Walter's still worse than Puke. At least Puke had like a gimmick. He's gotta puke. Dude sounds like he should be an accountant. I mean, Draws might have been huge in WWE if he didn't get dropped on his head. You have to say Walter with gusto, like, Walter! I don't think so. I still don't think it works. Man, Walter! You'll never get me, Walter! Man, kaba! It's, but yeah, so I don't know how this Wednesday Night War, as it goes, is gonna go. I don't know. I don't see it going well for NXT. My hope is that, like, I don't know. I just, watching NXT tonight, while the matches were good, it still felt like WWE light. It just felt odd watching it. I don't know. And then I still feel bad for, like, Crazy Canuck. Like, show switches over, you pick it up on the network, you didn't get to see the first hour, and the first thing you see is Undisputed Era celebrating Roderick Strong's victory. It did it, and again, it is kind of desperate. They just rushed out to beat AEW to TV, and this is what you get. They tried to jam-pack that first hour of NXT because it was on USA. Did they accomplish their mission? I don't know. You guys have to decide. I don't think personally that it did. I honestly don't. Depending on what they do next week, because you have to wait to see what they do next week. But after 1 week, I don't think they're in a better position going into the head-to-head than AEW's in. Like I don't think that they're in much of a different position. So it's only time will tell. But we, luckily we get to watch it unfold, as it were. And like I said, if they decide to put NXT takeovers against AEW pay-per-views, I think the NXT takeovers are going to lose every time, because you can watch them whenever on the network. I like a lot of the NXT roster as well. It's a really good put together roster. They have good shows. The thing that's going to be interesting for me, this is where I get skeptical. I'm skeptical of both NXT and AEW because, like, I don't know how it's going to go when these people are on national television weekly. Like, yeah, NXT's been doing it for a while, but at the same time, they've been pre-taped for a reason. Edit out mistakes, keep the matches concise, only show the best of the best. Now you gotta do a 2-hour live show every week, which a lot of these guys in NXT have never done. Same thing goes for AEW. A lot of those guys have never done live television every week. So I'm really intrigued by what happens as this really takes off and starts going at a weekly rate. Yeah, but a pay-per-view is different. And it's not every week. It's once every 3 months. Or whatever they've been doing it. They haven't been doing it even monthly for TakeOver. Yeah, every 3 to 6 months they have a TakeOver and then they go all out. It's definitely different than being on TV every week. And now not only that, but you have to try and fill 2 hours of TV time, tell stories, and have good matches. It's not easy. Yeah, and where's Lars now? Look at Ricochet. The guy sucks. Because he's not meant to be on TV every week. He does. All his matches are the same. If I have to see one more moonsault off a turnbuckle, I'm gonna freak out. He just needs character work because he's not a weekly TV star. They've gone back and forth what they want NXT to be. I consider it developmental, even if they don't say it is. Because really what the job, well, now it's different. I guess now they could probably lose the developmental tag. Even though these wrestlers don't need to be trained and developed as wrestlers, they need to be developed as WWE wrestlers because it's a completely different style. They have to learn how to wrestle for TV and stuff like that because it's different than wrestling in a bingo hall in front of 30 people. Now that they're going to be on TV live every week, I guess you could kind of say that it's not developmental anymore. But if that's going to be the case, I'd like to see it just be a third brand, and I'd like to see it be interchangeable at Raw and SmackDown. And they should put them in the draft. Let them have some big stars. Maybe you can you imagine Roman Reigns on NXT? And I definitely don't see that happening. I don't see, they claimed when they announced the draft that, the brands were going to be exclusive, and I don't see them interchanging because, again, USA and Fox are different networks. They're not going to want their USA people going to Fox to help Fox get ratings. 205 Live is dead. It appears as if the Cruiserweight Championship is now a part of NXT. Yeah, 205 Live is dead. Exactly. 205 Live is no more. So unless Daniel Bryan's going to NXT, which I can't see. There's always going to be speculation that they're going to send people. Like, there was talk about Kevin Owens, since he's fired, was going to go to NXT. That didn't happen either. He's not going to join Undisputed Era. That'd be stupid. Let's not start putting everybody in Undisputed Era like it's the NWO. Northern Zoo, thank you for the host. You're going to play CMA and get their ass whipped. What about like a 3-way Survivor Series match between the 3 brands? 5-on-5-on-5 War Games? That'd be dope. The main roster needs to do War Games. But here's the thing. They have to make a decision. What are you trying to do with NXT? NXT is supposed to be the generator that generates stars for the future. So are you going to kill that now and try and load it up with stars just because you're going up against AEW? You send back Nakamura, Alistair, Eric Young. Who cares about EC3? Do whatever you want with him. I wish they would just release him. But you send back those people, and now you're taking those other, like, you're taking spots away from 4 other people. So, like, they have to decide what they want to do. Like, I don't... This is, like, a weird balance for them, because, like, how do you give new people TV time to try and build them into stars while you're also trying to... Basically, how do you run it as developmental when you're also trying to compete with AEW? Like, it doesn't seem like those two ideas can coincide together. What is weird to me. Well, now it looks like they're going to be sharing people. And that's the other thing. Where's NXT UK fit in all this? But, see, then again, they're not going to be able to do that, Wildcat, because the only reason why they even got to TV in the first place was because the people on NXT are really good. And now, if you're going to try... If USA gave you money and a time slot and said, okay, Vince or Triple H or whoever, we're going to let you go head-to-head against TNT on Wednesday nights, you have to deliver results. So if you want to be successful at that, you can't just make NXT the developmental like it was. That's the hard part. But Raw and SmackDown are going head-to-head with AEW. The whole reason why NXT, the developmental brand, is going up against AEW is because it's a slap in the face from WWE. WWE is saying, hey, our minor leaguers are better than you guys. And that's why. It's the perception. Now, WWE fans who are hardcore WWE fans know that NXT is far from minor leagues, and it's probably the best thing that WWE has going on. But for the casual fan, which is also the fan that AEW has been saying they're trying to cater to, oh, we want to find those guys who stopped watching wrestling and bring them back and show them that wrestling can be cool again. Those are the kind of fans that AEW is going for, and WWE is saying to them, hey, look, this is our developmental brand. It's better than them. Worst player, thank you for the host. You're in the right place to see a man get their ass whipped. Well, Wildcat, I'd venture to say, and again, I don't have any inside information. I always like to clear that up. I don't know anything. I don't have any kind of inside scoop or anything like that. But I would say, in my opinion, AEW doesn't want to compete. That's why they went to Wednesday. They could have easily went Friday. They could have went... They could have tried to find a TV deal where they could have got Monday. They went Wednesday to not compete. Oh, of course they talked a ton of crap. That's how you get people to notice, right? You start a good Twitter beef, people notice you. You start it's just like rap. Start a good rap beef, people start listening. I don't know where you heard that, Hamson, but Tony Khan said he's always wanted either Tuesday or Wednesday, so that he was never on Mondays because of football. Tony Khan said that. That's a clip. That's a soundbite from Tony. Hamson should start his own rumor website. Yeah, they wanted either Tuesday or Wednesday. But, at the same time, this Fox deal's been announced for a lot of time. So you kind of can't... You kind of can't sit there and say, like... Oh, they wanted to compete with SmackDown. SmackDown moved. Everybody knew that in October, SmackDown was moving to Friday. So they wanted Tuesday or Wednesday. Still doesn't mean they were trying to compete with WWE. I mean, if you would have looked at it, going on air, it would have been October 1st had they have gotten Tuesdays. SmackDown is already moving to Friday, October 4th. So they still would have never went head to head with SmackDown, and I know they knew that. Because the Fox deal has been announced for forever. Matter of fact, I could probably Google when that was actually announced. Looks like May 21st, 2018, so that would be even before All In. So they had already known that Fox was going to, that SmackDown was going to Fox. Let's see when it was announced that SmackDown was moving to Friday. So there's a report here, June 26th, from Variety, that says the sport entertainment company announced Tuesday that SmackDown Live will debut on Fox on Friday, October 18th. So they pushed the date up to the 4th, actually, since this. But they knew it was going to be on Fridays since June of 2018. So, again, I assure you that AEW was never trying to go head-to-head with WWE. It's probably not going to be any... They said they're going to have celebrities announcing picks. So they're just going to have someone random come out and say, well, Raw picks this guy. They're not naming like a GM or anything like that, which is weird. And Wildcat, WWE makes money off of Raw and SmackDown, and now they're going to make money off of NXT because of advertisers. It's all about the advertisements. That's how they make all their money. So yeah, the AEW, to me, in my mind, never had the intention of competing with WWE. Yeah, they're going to talk shit, they're going to throw shots, but they never had the intention of, we're going to go head-to-head on TV against WWE. Then they got the deal for Wednesday, which do we even know the name of the show yet? Anyway, then WWE said, alright, well fine, we'll put NXT on TV. Is it really going to be Dynamite? Because that's stupid. Huh. We're on TNT, it's Dynamite. Huh. That just sounds stupid. I really hope they come up with a better name than that. AEW Well, SmackDown makes sense because of The Rock. Raw made sense because it was supposed to be just that. It was supposed to be Raw. Dynamite, especially being on a network called TNT, is a joke. No, it didn't. I don't know. You know, TNT, Dynamite, I don't think that's the best move, but that's what they go with. That's what they go with. AEW competing with WWE. Again, I don't think that was their intention, and if you listen to them talk, if you watch enough interviews about what they're trying to do and the type of fans they're trying to go after, I read that on Hamson.com, and the type of fans they're trying to go after, they don't want the WWE fans. They want those fans who stopped watching wrestling after the Monday Night Wars. So I don't see them needing to compete. Now it's going to be weird with NXT. Anything named Dynamite blows, get it? TNA is a special situation. TNA should be a cautionary tale for AEW, because TNA started as a weekly pay-per-view. They would have a pay-per-view like every Wednesday. You could buy it. I think it was like $20, and you could watch TNA. And they had dudes like Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and stuff like that. And they got Sting, and it caught fire. And then they got a TV deal, and it kept kind of gaining ground. And then I think, in my opinion, they said, wow, we're really big now on whatever day they were on. And they were like, we're going to make a move here. And they said, we're going to go up against WWE. And then WWE pushed their shit in, and they immediately split. It didn't last long. So yeah, in March 2010, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling moved their weekly television program Impact from airing on Thursdays to airing on Monday nights. Direct competition to Raw. And then it was because they got Hogan and Bischoff. Trying to see when it moved back. It moved back to Thursday in May. So they moved in March and went back to Thursday in May. It lasted 2 months. Should have never left Nashville. Those are facts twisted. You can't kill the TNA. They just, I think they just kind of got too big for their britches, and it didn't work out for them. They made a power move thinking they were so popular that they could really take a piece of that viewership, and it didn't work out. It only lasted 2 months. So yeah, that was the thing. And Raw absolutely crushed them. Looks like they tried a test. So I'm looking at the ratings, and it looks like they tried a test Impact against Monday Night Raw in January. So it was like January 4th they tested it, and Raw got a 3.6, Impact got a 1.5. So I guess that led them to believe that there was a chance. Like, oh, this was a one-off. If we did this every week, our viewership... Havoc Party, thank you for the host. There's no place to see a man get their ass whipped. Like, oh, if we do this every week, maybe our viewership will go up and we'll be able to take a piece of the pie. But then, March 8th, Raw did 3.4, and Impact did 0.98, and it hovered around that 0.9 mark the entire time until they split and went back. So they didn't even make a dent in the ratings. Raw beat them every single week. They didn't even come close. Let me look that up. That's a good question. The 18-49 rating for Raw is, well, for the first hour they get 0.8. For the second hour they get 0.8. And for the third hour they get 0.6. According to this chart that I'm reading. This was written September 17th, 2019. It says, once again, the NFL was at the top of the Monday cable ratings. ESPN managed to scoop up all three of the chart's uppermost slots, with the peak performance of the night coming from their broadcast of the Cleveland Browns versus the New York Jets. The game scored a 4.1 rating in adults 18-49, easily winning the night, but falling a bit behind the 4.4 scored by the Broncos vs. Raiders match from last week. Monday Night Kickoff grabbed a 2.0 to take second place compared to its previous 1.1, and SportsCenter 12 a.m. followed behind it in third with a 1.4. Even without the NFL, however, it wouldn't have been the WWE at the top. 90 Day Fiancé on TLC would have had that honor, having risen from its usual 0.7 to 0.8 to narrowly beat the consecutive 0.8 of Monday Night Raw on USA. So, Raw's even losing to a show called 90 Day Fiancé. There is an issue with Monday Night Raw. They're not even second anymore. They're third now. Beautiful. So they get their asses kicked in the first hour. Well, basically they get their asses kicked in all 3 hours by Monday Night Football. Now they're getting their asses kicked in the second hour at 9 p.m. by this 90 Day Fiancé show. But wrestling sells ads and makes money, so what are you going to do? UK community came together to have a show. It'd probably do. I think ARF does better than WWE at this point. We could put ARF on TV, we could probably get a 0.8. No, like, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of people. You know what I mean? That's a lot of people. 0.8's still a lot of people. It's not 4 million people like football gets, but wrestling's back to where, so wrestling in like the 80s and early 90s was this thing that you basically, like, you were a fan of, but like you didn't really like talk about it unless you found another wrestling fan, and then you were like, oh yeah, you too, and then like you would talk about it with the other wrestling fan, but it was always like this like funny and thank you for the host, you're the only place to see a man get their ass hit, but it was always like this like weird kind of cult following type thing. And then, you know, the Attitude Era happened, and it was cool to be a wrestling fan. And then the Attitude Era ended, and it kind of, all the wrestling fans kind of regressed again and went into hiding because it stopped being cool again, because they went back to their kind of childishness, you know, hokey nonsense. So it's in a weird place right now where it could be cool if they would just stop doing what they're doing. The PG effect, exactly. It's become that thing where it's, it's not for adults. If you're over 18 and you like wrestling, you're not cool because it's not for you. People think, oh, that's that thing for kids or whatever. They don't see it as being for adults. So their rating is even better if you take into account all age groups, so the kids and stuff really make up for it. I blame concussions and room rates. In reality, what it is it's Rogie Rogue. Thank you for the host show. I play CMA and get their ass whipped. It's not really Make-A-Wish and Be a Star. Like, those are kind of... They were doing Make-A-Wish long before they went PG. Kids are still gonna like wrestling. Like, kids still love Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. It's not... PG isn't because of Make-A-Wish. What it's because of is advertising. They make so much money off of advertising. But when you're making a bulk of your money off of advertising, which all reports suggest because their attendance apparently is going down, they have to be losing their shirts on the WWE Network because they're constantly giving away free months. And if you have 1 million email addresses, you can literally sign up every month for free and watch the pay-per-views. So they have to be losing a ton of money on pay-per-view. But they're making so much money off of advertising, that's what's keeping their business afloat, that they're not going to rock the boat because they're beholden to their advertisers. Look what happened with Lars Sullivan and the trouble he found himself into, and then Mars, which makes Snickers and stuff, came out and said something about it, and then WWE made him apologize. That's the power that the advertisers have over it, because WWE needs that money. Because by all accounts, if you believe the reports, and I tend to believe them because you can see that attendance is going down. You know they're not making the $50, $60 every month off a pay-per-view anymore. You have to figure they're losing money everywhere else. Advertising is keeping it afloat. Not only advertising, but their TV deals in general. And that's why they cater to the TV networks and the advertisers. So when you see something like I said earlier, Lesnar versus Kofi for the title, every part of me says Lesnar's going to win because they want that clip of Lesnar holding the title on Fox. And that's just how it goes. Because that's something that they'll show on NFL Sunday and whatever else they're doing on Fox all week long to hype you up for SmackDown. You would think, but the fact of the matter is, go back, and even if you watch the WWE Network, because a lot of times they still have them in there. You know how they say, like, oh, this is brought to you by this company and whatever. Go back and look at the kinds of stuff that was sponsoring them in the Attitude Era versus the kind of stuff that's sponsoring them today. So today you get Snickers and Skittles and KFC and all this other stuff. Back in the day, it was like JVC Boombox. Or, you know, just Stacker 2. Like, you have to find, if you're gonna up your, if you're gonna say, let's say we're going back to the Attitude Era. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go back and be, instead of PG, we're gonna be TV 14. Well, you have to find advertisers that are willing to advertise to that demographic. And then the ones that are willing to advertise to that demographic, you're kind of stuck with how much they're willing to pay. And I feel like at that demographic, they probably don't pay as much as a Snickers or, you know, Skittles or whoever else. Especially with the decline in TV viewership. Because, yeah, TV viewership's going down. A lot of people don't consume TV like they used to. That's why I also say that this Wednesday Night War is going to be largely affected by what they decide to do with NXT on the WWE Network. If, as I keep saying, if they put it on the WWE Network the next day, AEW will win the Wednesday Night War because people will be like, I can watch AEW live, since that's the only time I'm going to be able to see it, is when it's actually on. And then I can watch NXT the next day on the network. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, that's what I'm saying about advertisers, though. Mars will sponsor you if you're TV PG because that's the demographic they're looking for. They're looking for kids to buy their candy. Now you go TV 14, you're not going to get that Mars sponsorship. So now you might be back with, like, I don't know. I can't think of a company off the top of my head. But Joe Schmo company, but they're only willing to pay X amount of dollars. So what are you going to do? You need an advertiser, you're taking less money. So that's the difference between, you know, when you do ratings, no one's gonna advertise with you if you're not reaching out to the kind of people they're trying to advertise with. Unless the movie starts getting Trojan commercials. I mean, but are they willing to pay the kind of money that Mars does? Probably not. Trojan already has the best advertising. Hey, don't want a baby? Wear these. You know, you don't need John Cena to tell you that. But those are facts. But yeah, so it's just like I said, the WWE Network is what's gonna kill this Wednesday war, and I just hope that it doesn't hurt NXT in the process. I feel like what you're gonna see, at least after like the first few weeks, you can't take into account because everything's still new. I'd say 3 to 6 months from now, if you look at the ratings, what you're gonna see is AEW winning the ratings on Wednesday nights on TV, but you're still going to see a ton of people watching NXT on the network, whether that's on Thursday or whenever else. You're still going to see a lot of people still watching NXT, but the network is what's going to kill them. This is going to be the same for the pay-per-views. People are going to buy the AEW pay-per-view because that's happening at that time. And then they're going to go back, and they already have the WWE Network. They pay the $10 a month for it or whatever. And then they're going to go back, and they'll watch the NXT TakeOver whenever. And back to your earlier point, Plex, I feel like that's always a thing. How many times do we see it when we're doing art? That someone comes in here and like, oh, I used to love wrestling. It's like, oh yeah, really? And it's like, yeah, I used to watch it when The Rock and Stone Cold were on. And it's always that. Why do you think SmackDown's using The Rock and Stone Cold and The Undertaker in their commercial more than they are using the current day stars? Die Hard Cubby, thank you for the host. You're in the right place to see them and get their ass whipped. They know that was the golden era in their time, but they just can't go. They just can't get back to it. You know, some of them do. Honestly, I won't lie. Some of them do. Suck a lot on the mic. Some of them don't, though. They have some really decent talkers. Then you have people who should never touch a microphone a day in their life, but they have, you know, Seth Rollins is decent on the mic. Samoa Joe's decent on the mic. I think AJ's pretty decent on the mic. Andre Hogan and Savage in commercials anymore? Yeah, now it's become, instead of Andre Hogan and Savage, it's become, you know, Rock, Austin, and Undertaker. Miz is great on the mic. I love the Miz on the mic. Dolph, even. You're right, it's not. It's not the same level of greats. And who knows why? Well, MJF may win this Wednesday Night War himself. Honestly, I feel like, and I know this kind of makes me sound like Jim Cornette. But I feel like the most compelling thing that AEW has going for it right now is MJF.